My name is Darren Yoon from the Youth Cultural Corps. The cultural heritage that I'll be introducing to you today is the 창녕위궁재사, located in Bandung, Gangbuk-gu. Now, due to the current COVID-19 situation going on, it is currently not open to the public. So even though I visited the place in September, I had to take the picture from outside of the place. So I hope you understand if I don't have any pictures of the building from when I visited the place back then. It was designated as the 40th cultural heritage by the country in September 2002. It is in possession of the Andong Kim clan and being managed by Gangbuk-gu. This place here is called Jesa, and they used to hold rituals for the second daughter of Sunjo, the 23rd king of the Joseon dynasty, and her husband Kim Byung-ju. Jesa means the house where we hold rituals for the dead. Kim Byung-ju was a member of the Andong Kim clan, so the princess married him, and the king gave him a title called 창녕위, thus the reason this place is called 창녕위궁재사. Something to note here is that the Andong Kim clan was a clan that had supreme power of the politics, being able to choose the way they liked it, so it had led them a lot of times to marriage with the royal family. The house where we have rituals to the dead is built close to the tomb, and they say that some time ago, there was a combined tomb of a princess and her husband on the opposite side of this house. However, the tomb was moved to Yongin, Gyeonggi province, and only the house remains here today. The main ritual building became the women's quarters, and the men's quarters is believed to have moved a building of another place. The unique point about our traditional houses is that the materials to build this house was easily separable, so it was possible to dismantle the house and build it somewhere else. Although the women's quarters and the separated kitchen was destroyed by the Korean War, the women's quarters were rebuilt in 1955. If you compare this house's blueprints, the current state, and the picture from the previous days, you can see that there was no extra building in front of the females' quarters, and the males' quarters had extra rooms built. This here is the house in view of a satellite. Even though it's not that large, I believe that it will be more efficient if you go the way I suggest, starting from the main gate, the females' quarters, the stone wall, the males' quarters, and finishing at the sub-gate. The building today is consisted of the females' quarters, the males' quarters, and the main gate building. Although it is said that the building today is a lot different from the original, it's still a valuable cultural heritage that shows the structure of the traditional houses that were built in the late age of the Joseon dynasty. This here is the main gate. There are letters on the left and right, each written 입춘대길 and 건강다경. The former means welcoming spring and having good events happen, while the latter means accepting the bright aura and hope for many auspicious events. Entering the gate, on the right is the main gate building, where the servants used to stay. Currently, the manager of this place resides here. Inside, the left is the females' quarters, and the right is the males' quarters. There is a large yard, and there is also a wooden single-floor tiled house shaped like the Korean letter Gyeok, placed in a high style bay. There was another building that existed on the yard, but it was lost due to the war. Judging by the fact that the house was built using good materials and that it was placed on a stylobate, shows that the owner of this house was a person of high social status. The number of stylobates indicate the social class of the house owner. There are none for the untouchables, one for the commoners, 2 for the nobles, and 3 or more indicate the royal family. This is Anche, where women resided. It was built in the middle part of the 19th century for the purpose of the main ritual house and the shelter, and it has the conventional form of a traditional house in the Gyeonggi province. It was rebuilt after a liberation in 1945, destroyed in the Korean War, and rebuilt again in 1955, and has remained this way since. Even though it was the females' quarters, it was used as the main ritual house before, so there were shrines in the wingside buildings, and they placed the nameplates of the ancestors of the Andong Kim clan in the main hall. So the kitchen was usually built in the females' quarters, males and females' quarters were separated due to the Confucianism rules, and it was built far away from the main gate to avoid people from seeing the quarters. For this purpose, there was a building, but it was lost in the Korean War. The building had the traditional heating system built, and you can see the furnace on the right side of the building. Because in the Joseon dynasty, we were mainly used to sitting, so our heating system were mainly used to heat the floor rather than heating the air. In the back, you can see chimneys, which are necessary for there to exist a furnace. Before this place was fixed in 2009, you could hold a traditional wedding on the front yard. If you look at the photos from then, you could see the various wedding tools, such as the palanquin and the traditional Korean lantern. Now, since it is open to the park, it is no longer possible to do it. On the stone walls that is on the side of the females' quarters, there are some colored stones, and we believe them to be the remains of the now gone building. This is sarangche, where men reside and sometimes uses the meeting place for guests. It is said that before this place was used as the place for rituals, they moved one of the buildings from the private villa of the Prime Minister at the time of the Joseon Dynasty's 16th king, Jeongjo. On front of the floor, there is a flat and smooth rock, and it is used to go up to higher floors. If you see on the side of the male's quarters, you can see the part where it is protruded out, and that is for the closet, where you store blankets or clothes. This part had been created after the house was built. On the bottom, you can see the furnace with a cauldron on top, and the back side, you can see the chimney. With this, you can see that the traditional heating system was placed here as well. There are letters in blue on each pillar of the male's quarters. They are called juryeon, and they are letters that either have ancient sayings or descriptions of the good things that the house owner has done. The juryeon here are written by a man who was the nephew of a princess, and when Japan annexed their country, he refused to accept the title that the Japanese government gave him, and went to the nature, enjoying poems and drawings to soothe the pain of losing one's country. This place is the sub-gate that is in the southern side when you enter from the main gate. Although it is gone now, it can be seen as the entrance when people from the kitchen building or the side building used. It is made so that people could see the view over the low stone wall. If you go out from the sub-gate to the right, there is a bamboo forest on the back. According to the Ministry of Land Investigation in the Japanese annexation period, most of the area around here was in the possession of the second princess, Deogwon's descendant. Although the princess and her husband never had a descendant, they adopted a son and a grandchild, and after the annexation, the grandchild sold the house that they originally lived in and moved to this place with his family. He had to use the money he got from selling the house part unwillingly on the debt by the Japanese government, refused the title that they gave him, and committed suicide in anger of the Japanese. This area was designated as a park as a part of a policy to increase parks in 1987. And on the southern side of the park came in the very first theme park in Seoul, Dreamland. It was the second biggest amusement park next to one in Gwangjin. At this time, the original house of the princess was being used by citizens as a traditional wedding site, which I'll explain later. It closed in 2008 due to the loss of customers and the lack of proper management. And Seoul City initiated a project to increase the area of parks around the place, which has the largest amount of greenery in Gangbok-gu. So it was opened to the public as the Northern Seoul Forest of Dreams in October 17, 2009. At the same time, this place was also put under construction for repairs and extension. If you look at the old picture of these places, there are signs of people living here. And from the presence of the abandoned things and the corroded parts of the building, it's like we can see the loopholes of finding and managing the historical heritages, which is pretty pitiful in my personal opinion. The opening time here is from 9 AM to 6 PM. You can enter it for free, and it is a place where you can walk around and rest in the wide area of greenery. Nearby is the house of the third princess. Since the owner of this house donated this house to a Buddhism religious body, it became a temple named Jinungseon. You can see this house as the more common type of our traditional houses back in Joseon Dynasty. I recommend you visit this place at least once.